You wanted to do an improv bit, no? Here we go in 3, 2. Hello and welcome to Cabin Fever Radio. Season number 3, where an isolated group of talented actors and creators come together to stave off their madness and yours and keep us all entertained through dramatic readings of your favorite movies and TV shows, along with original material. This episode is sponsored by Cabin Fever Radio. We're sponsoring it ourselves, but we'll hear more about them later in the show. I am your host, Mr. David Franzoni, and in this season, we are focusing on feature-length films. And joining us for today is Robert Christopher Smith, Stephen Cicerone, Mariah Hart, Braxton Ray, Jess Barnell, Rob Fury, and Kelsey Jaffer. And today we are reading the story of Gladiator, written by David Franzoni. Yeah.
Mamma mia.
Mamma mia. I want some pizza. And this is the second of 2 parts. And we left off seeing Proximo and Maximus making plans to leave Zuckerbar and head to Rome to be part of the games at the Colosseum that Commodus has arranged in honor of the death of Marcus Aurelius, as well as gain some popularity with the mob of Rome. Shall we see what is to come of Maximus in his first journey to the city of Rome? If we're all ready to go, we can go into part 3 of Gladiator.
We're on a rooftop. The slaves are talking to each other, and Juba and Maximus are alone together too.
I can't.
Sorry. It is somewhere out there. My country. My home. My wife is preparing food. My daughters carry water from the river. Will I ever see them again? I think not.
Do you believe that you will see them again when you die?
I think so. But then I will die soon. They will not die for many years. I will have to wait.
But you would wait.
Of course.
You see, my wife and my son are already waiting for me.
You will meet them again. But not yet. Not yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
So we're on the road to Rome. The wagon carrying the gladiators, it rolls along while children, they look at kids, and they're running to the side of the road to witness the caravan in the distant Rome. In the Colosseum, gladiators have arrived in Rome for the first time. As their wagon pulls into the gladiator school, the guards open the wagon gates and they disembark. They disembark, gazing in the awe at the Colosseum. Proximo walks up to the statue of Mars, kissing his hand and then planning the kiss on the feet of the statue.
Good to see you again, old friend. Bring me fortune.
They stare.
Did you ever see anything like that before? I didn't know man could build such things.
Win the crowd.
Scene change to the palace. Commodus is standing over the sleeping Lucius, studying as he sleeps. Lucilla walks up to him.
He sleeps so well because he is loved.
Come, brother, it is late.
Lucilla and Commodus step away and continue their talk. Commodus leans over his desk.
I will make Rome the wonder of the ages. This is what Gracchus and his friends don't understand. All my desires are splitting my head into pieces.
Commodus, drink this tonic.
I think the time is almost right. I can announce the dissolution of the Senate in celebration of our father. Do you think I should? Are the people ready?
I think you need your rest now.
Will you stay with me?
Still afraid of the dark, brother?
Still. Always. Stay with me tonight.
You know I won't.
Then kiss me.
Sleep, brother.
Scene change. As gladiators are taken to the Colosseum, they walk through the crowded streets. Shackled together, beautiful prostitutes throw their arms around them, whispering in their ears as they pass. Maximus, with a look of embarrassment and amusement, walks past them. Outside the Colosseum, crowds are betting and posting their marks on a chalkboard. Proximo and Cassius discuss the upcoming fight.
The Emperor wants battles, and I don't want to sacrifice my best fighters.
The crowd wants battles, so the Emperor gives them battles. You get the Battle of Carthage.
The massacre of Carthage? Why don't you get the beggars and thieves from the prison?
We've done that.
If you're going to give away the best gladiators in the Empire, then I want double the rates.
You will get your contract rates or you will get your contract canceled. If you don't like it, you can crawl back down that shithole that you came from.
Scene change. The legionnaires of Scipio, Africanus. Battle is in preparation. Young Lucius is walking along the cells where the gladiators are placed on display for the crowd's inspection. Lucius stops in front of Proximo's group and motions to Maximus, where he is seated at the back of his cell. With a glint of surprise and curiosity, Maximus rises and moves towards Lucius, placing his hands on the bars, leaning down toward the boy.
Gladiator, are you the only one they call Spaniard?
Yes.
They said you were a giant. They said you can crush a man's skull with one hand.
A man's? No. A boy's?
They have good horses in Spain?
Some of the best. This is Argento. This is Carto. They were my horses. They were taken from me.
I like you, Spaniard. I shall cheer for you.
They let you watch the games?
My uncle says it makes me strong.
And what does your father say?
My father is dead.
Servant! Servant!
Hello, servant.
Servant!
Master Lucius, it is time!
I have to go.
Your name is Lucius?
Lucius Furnus, after my father.
Realizing he has come closer to Commodus, Maximus withdraws into the corner, looking to see who might be in the crowd. Scene change. In the bowels of the Colosseum, as one team of gladiators descends on the platform left, Proximo's gladiators are selecting helmets and receiving spears. Maximus selects an ominous mask-like helmet that covers his face, leaving his eyes to pierce through. The head gladiator calls out instructions before they enter the arena. When the emperor enters, raise your weapons, salute him, and then speak together. Face the emperor, don't turn your back on him, go and die with honor. Maximus takes a deep breath as the gladiators enter the arena. Trumpets are heard. The crowd is cheering madly. The gladiators look up, amazed at the overwhelming size of the arena and the crowd. The crowd calls out, Caesar, Caesar, Caesar salad. The gladiators position themselves in front of Caesar. We who are about to die salute you. This would later become a song by AC/DC. Only one gladiator refuses to mark such a salute. Maximus.
On this day, We reach back to the hallowed antiquity to bring you a recreation of a second fall of mighty Carthage. On the barren straits of Zama, there stood the invincible armies of the barbarian Hannibal. Ferocious mercenaries and warriors from all brute nations, bent on merciless destruction, conquest. Your emperor is pleased to give you the barbarian horde.
On the arena floor, Maximus talks to the gladiators, instructing them.
Anyone here been in the army?
Yes.
I served with you in Vindobina.
You can help me. Whatever comes out of these gates, we have a better chance of survival if we work together. Do you understand? We stand together, we survive.
Cassius then introduces the legionnaires Scipio Africanus as they barrel into the arena on their glorious chariots. Shouts from the legionnaires can be heard as they immediately begin to kill the barbarians. Shouts from Maximus can also be heard. Come together! Lock your shields, stay as one, hold as one, and then well done as they successfully defend themselves from the uneven attack. As a chariot heads towards them, Maximus is heard calling out as they huddle together.
Diamond! Diamond!
The barbarians move towards the chariot as it approaches, and with the maneuver, the chariot is overturned and the legionnaires are sent flying to their death. The crowd cheers uncontrollably. Yes, they died! Hagen gets an arrow through his calf and unknowingly stands in the way of the charging chariot. Maximus calls out to him, then runs and knocks him out of the way, saving his life. Without hesitation, Maximus continues to call out orders.
Column to the chariot!
This column, he says, stay with me, and Maximus climbs upon one of the chariot horses that has been unharnessed and rides with the chariots, attacking the legionnaires one by one until the most have been disabled or killed. The roar of Maximus' attack can be heard as he strikes the legionnaires. All the while, Commodus sits on his throne, clearly enjoying himself like a child. His mouth falls open, and his tongue leaps into the air. He tosses his head from side to side, laughing in glee like a barbarian of some sort. And on the arena floor, Hagen is back in place, fighting the legionnaires. As Maximus rides, Juba cries out.
Maximus.
As he tosses him from one of the legionnaires' swords, catching the sword, Maximus continues to call orders to the barbarians.
Single column! Single column!
As they successfully attack and kill the remaining legionnaires, having won the battle, Maximus is seen magnificently atop the white horse, sword raised in triumph as the cheers from the barbarians and the crowd explode. Boom! Following the battle in Caesar's box.
My history's a little hazy, Cassius. But aren't the barbarians supposed to lose the Battle of Carthage?
Yes, sire. Forgive me, sire.
No, I rather enjoy surprises. Who is that?
They call him the Spaniard, sire.
I think I'll meet him.
Yes, sire.
On the arena floor, Praetorian enter, and the gladiators stand ready to defend themselves.
Drop your weapons.
Maximus nods to the gladiators, and they drop their weapons.
Gladiator, the Emperor has asked for you.
I am at the Emperor's service.
Commodus enters the arena. Maximus eyes an arrow in the dirt amongst the bloody debris. Kneels to pick it up. The gladiators follow Maximus' action. And also kneel.
Rise, rise.
Lucius enters behind Commodus, and Maximus looks disappointed. He does not want to attempt an attack on Commodus with the boy so close.
Your fame is well-deserved, Spaniard. I don't think there has been a gladiator to match you as for this young man. He insists you are Hector reborn, or was it Hercules? Why doesn't the hero reveal himself and tell us all your real name? You do have a name.
My name is Gladiator.
Maximus slowly turns around and bends to walk back to the other gladiators.
How dare you show your back to me, slave? You will remove your helmet and tell me your name.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the North, general of the Phalanx Legions, loyal servant of the true emperor, Marcus Aurelius, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next.
Commodus is clearly in shock and without words. Quintus stands ready. Commodus stumbles in his actions, slightly turning to Quintus as though seeking help. Quintus turns arms, and the Praetorian pull their swords. Meanwhile, at Caesar's box, Lucilla has risen to her feet and disbelieving the sight of Maximus and relieved that he is still alive.
Live! 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 Live!
Oh, shh!
In an effort to calm the people, Commodus extends his hand, struggling to give the thumbs up, for he would much prefer to give the thumbs down. Extending his thumbs up to the pleasure and cheers of the crowd, Commodus turns and leaves, sending a look to Maximus as though to say, "This is not over," and the Praetorian leave as well. As Maximus looks at Quintus, he holds his fist to his heart and slightly bows his head, acknowledging an old friend, an old soldier. Quintus stares back and slowly backs away from Maximus. Maximus raises his helmet in victory, and the crowd and other gladiators cheer wildly.
Maximus! Maximus!
Maximus and the other gladiators exit the arena to be returned to the underground cells. They are lowered on the platform as the other gladiators salute the winning barbarians, and in particular, Maximus. Their cheers and shouts, "Maximus! Maximus! Maximus!" causing the walls and floors to shake. Maximus stands in the midst of all the gladiators who triumphantly fought and beat the legionnaires, a slightly smaller man, yet appearing larger than all. The scene, of course, changes back to the palace, where Commodus is signing papers. Lucilla walks in. Without looking up, Commodus asks Lucilla,
Why is he still alive?
I don't know.
He shouldn't be alive. This vexes me. I'm terribly vexed. I did what I had to do. Had father had his way, the empire would have been torn apart. You do see that. What did you feel when you saw him?
I felt nothing.
He wounded you deeply, didn't he?
No more than I wounded him.
They lied to me in Germania. They told me he was dead. If they lie to me, they don't respect me. If they don't respect me, how can they ever love me?
Then you must let the legions know that treachery will not go unpunished.
Oh, sister, I wouldn't want to be your enemy.
What will you do?
Commodus looks back, saying nothing, holding his finger to his lips, as though to say, and the scene changes to the cells where the gladiators are. Maximus is taken from his cell to another where he is chained. The guards leave, and out from a dark corner appears Lucilla.
Rich matrons pay well to be pleasured by the bravest champions.
I knew your brother would send his thousands. I didn't realize he would send his best.
Maximus, he doesn't know.
My family was burned and crucified while they still live.
I knew nothing.
Don't lie to me.
I wept for them.
As you wept for your father? As you wept for your father?
I have been living in a prison of fear since that day, to be unable to mourn your father for fear of your brother. To live in terror every moment of every day because your son is heir to the throne. Oh, I have wept.
He was innocent.
So is mine. Must my son die too before you can trust me?
What does it matter if I trust you or not?
The gods have spared you. Don't you understand? Today I saw a slave become more powerful than the Emperor of Rome.
The gods have spared me? I am at their mercy with the power only to amuse a mob.
That is power. The mob is Rome. And while Commodus controls them, he controls everything. Listen to me. My brother has enemies, most of all in the Senate. But while the people follow him, no one would dare stand up to him until you.
They oppose him, yet they do nothing.
There are some politicians who have dedicated their lives to Rome. One man above all. If I can arrange it, will you meet him?
Do you not understand? I may die in this cell tonight, or in the arena tomorrow. I am a slave. What possible difference can I make?
This man wants what you want.
Then have him kill Commodus.
I knew a man once. Noble man. A man of principles who loved my father, and my father loved him. This man served Rome well.
That man is gone. Your brother did his work well.
Let me help you.
Yes, you can help me. Forget you ever knew me. Never come here again. God! This lady is finished with me.
So there's like a scene change, like to the gladiator school, and the gladiators are like sitting at a table playing a game with Cobra Snake. Maximus, Juba, and Hagen sit at a table like together. Juba is eating his bread with like some beans, man.
Maximus, you commanded legions. Had many victories?
Yes,
In Germania?
in many countries.
So like the cook, he calls out, "General!" And the Maximus goes to him where he's handed a bowl of beans because that's what they're eating. And Maximus returns to the table, sensing the watchful eye of Juba wanting some of those beans. He looks up to see Juba, shaking his head. "No, you're not getting any of these beans, man." And Maximus like holds back and does not eat the food. He's just like fucking with Juba. Hagen, seeing that Maximus is curious about the food, he like takes his own spoon and he dips it in the Maximus bowl. You know, it's gonna like piss him off. And then placing the spoon in his own mouth, Hagen suddenly begins to gasp and choke because wow, it's poison, you know? And he grabs his throat and then begins to laugh because they're fucking with Maximus. Juba and Maximus laugh with like relief, man, because Maximus returns to his food he needs to eat for the fight, you know? But he looks at Juba with a look of doubt because he's like, "Man, I know you're trying to take my beans, man. Not for that moment, but for like what lies ahead."
You have a great name. He must kill your name before he kills you.
Like a scene change, Dave?
But first, on that note, this episode is sponsored by Cabin Fever Radio. Looking for new content to watch since you probably already watched everything on the internet by now, especially just being at home? Something that takes films you already know but adds a bit of freshness and improv to it? Well, Cabin Fever Radio is what you are looking for. Cabin Fever Radio is a new broadcasting channel with a lot to offer the world, from table reads of classic films, storytelling, weekly live streams, radio novellas, comic book reviews, as well as producing new podcast ideas. But you might ask, where can we see all this beautiful content? You can see it on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and all those other platforms. But the best place to watch it is at cabinfeverradio.com. That is our main website. That is cabinfeverradio.com. They even make it extra simple. They even make it extra simple by having a direct link to their Saturday live streams, as well as a plethora of previous shows. You can enjoy hours-long content starting from season 1 all the way till today. What are you waiting for? Visit cabinfeverradio.com after the show and take a new look on films you already love. And now to something completely different.
Back to the scene change. So they're at the Coliseum now, as the senators are gathering for the upcoming fight.
Senator Gracchus, I don't often see you enjoying the pleasures of the vulgar crowd.
Well, I do not pretend to be a man of the people, Senator, but I do try to be a man for the people.
So like the wagons enter the arena. They're like tossing bread and fruit at the crowd. Caesar enters the arena, man. He's accepting like cheers from the crowd. Give me more, dudes. Atop in the stands stands Cassius as he introduces the upcoming fight. While in the crowd, they're all calling out, you know what they're saying? Caesar, 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 man. Caesar.
People of Rome, on the 4th day of Antioch, we can celebrate the day of the games. And in his majestic charity, the emperor has named this day to favor the people of Rome with an historical final match. Returning to the Colosseum today, after 5 years in retirement, Caesar is pleased to bring you the only undefeated champion in Roman history, the legendary Tigris of Gaul.
Out from the tunnel comes Tigris on his grand chariot, wearing a full-headed silver helmet. In the crowd, Cicero, Maximus' servant from Germania battle, sits anxiously waiting to see Maximus. So we change scenes to the bowels of the Colosseum, where the gladiators are held as they await their turn in the arena. Maximus stands in the tunnel, shadows cast darkly upon him as he practices, agile as he is, with his sword awaiting his entrance to the arena. Proximo stands at the bottom of the tunnel with the other fighters, calling up to Maximus, and Maximus calls back.
He knows too well how to manipulate a mob.
Marcus Aurelius had a dream. That was Rome. Proximo. This is not it. This is not it.
Marcus Aurelius is dead, Maximus. We mortals are but shadows and dust. Shadows and dust, Maximus.
Maximus stands ready to enter the arena. The voice of the announcer, Cassius, can be heard. Representing the training Lyceum Momentarius Proximo. Caesar is proud to give you alias Maximus. With that, Maximus crosses out onto the arena floor, shield in one hand, sword in the other. The crowd cheers. Woo! Commodus, Lucilla, Lucius, and Quintus watch from Caesar's box as Maximus and Tigris are introduced to the crowd. On the arena floor, Maximus plants his sword in the sand and bends down in his ritual way to collect in his hands a sampling of dirt. We saw him do that a bunch in the last episode. Cicero is again seen in the stands, this time slightly smiling. Relieved to see the general. That's Caesar's box. Lucilla holds back all emotion, which is not hard. She's on Paxil. The crowd calling out, Maximus, Maximus, Maximus.
They embrace him like he's one of their own.
The mob is a fickle brother. He'll be forgotten in a month.
No, much sooner than that. It has been arranged.
Back on the arena floor, Tigris turns to Caesar's box with the sword crossed. He bows. We who are about to die salute you, and AC/DC will rock you. Maximus stands by, showing no salute whatsoever. As Maximus gets ready to fight, the large doors to the arena are thrown open, surprising Maximus, and probably everybody else too. From each door emerges a team of men who ride into the arena. Each team picks up a chain from the fan. Maximus becomes distracted. Tigris kicks, continues. I think I skipped something about it. Okay, is thrown to the ground. The trapdoor opens and out jumps a large tiger. pouncing at the fighting gladiators. Maximus is now having to escape the claws of the tigers as he battles Tigress. God damn! Maximus' roars can be heard as he does battle. Like that. In the background can be heard loose, 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 and bull, 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 as the handlers coordinate their efforts in handling each of the tigers that are now on the arena floor, growling and charging at Maximus like a Las Vegas show. Maximus manages to disarm Tigress, switching his sword from one hand to the other. Maximus stands ready to finish off Tigress. Suddenly, a fourth, 1, 2, 3, fourth tiger jumps out of a trapdoor and jumps at, guess who? Maximus. In that split second, Maximus turns and the tiger is speared with his sword. Maximus is thrown to the sand as the large beast lays on top of him. Maximus stabs the beast repeatedly, killing it. Actually, you can only kill it once. The crowd cheer wildly. Tigress, still on him, manages to grab Tiger's own helmet and with great force, I am using the force, spikes him in the foot. Tiger's been over in pain, ow, blood pouring from the opening of his mask. Maximus stands and kicks Tigress to the ground. He is finished. The crowd cheers.
Kill. With
axe in hand, standing over the fallen tigress, Maximus looks up at Commodus. The Emperor is clearly disappointed that his plan has failed. Commodus stands, arm extended, and slowly shows up. Thumbs down. Maximus unmasks Tigress and lifts the hatchet over his head, ready to... Well, Maximus is about to exit the arena, actually. The Praetorian enter and encircle him as Commodus enters the arena to boos from the crowd. Boo! Boo! Boo!
Down Caesar!
How he approaches, guess who?
Maximus?
What am I going to do with you? You simply won't die. Are we so different, you and I? You take life when you have to, as do I.
We have one life left to take, and then it's done.
Then take it now.
Ooh.
They tell me your son squealed like a girl when they nailed him to the cross. And your wife moaned like a whore when they ravaged her again and again and again.
The time for honoring yourself will soon be at an end, Highness.
Maximus slowly turns away from Commodus. The Praetorians step aside and let Maximus pass. He leaves the arena. And then...
Maximus.
Maximus.
my baby's Maximus.
We're going to change scenes. And to the streets, we're changing the scenes down there to the streets as Maximus is taken by 2 guards back to Gladiator School. And they pass through the streets adjacent to the Coliseum. The large crowd of fans are waiting for him, and they're chanting his name, and they're waving banners. Amongst the crowd is Cicero. Cicero tries to catch the attention of Maximus. His arms are all stretched out and stuff, and he's holding a small leather pouch. Cicero! Cicero! At last, Maximus sees, and with joy, he calls back, Cicero! Cicero runs through the crowd, trying to get closer to his master, and he manages to get in touch with him. And behind him, there's like a prostitute, but she's not really doing a prostitute thing. She's really only trying to get Maximus' attention.
Oh, man. Where you camped?
Ostia!
Tell the man the general lives. Find me. Find me.
As the guards pull Maximus away from Cicero. Cicero manages to give Maximus the pouch that he was carrying. Maximus hides it in his palms. He's got these gigantic hands. Later in his cell, Maximus opens the leather pouch handed to him by Cicero, which is what I was just saying. Inside, he finds out there's 2 figurines of his wife and son that we all remember from the last episode. And if you haven't watched it, you need to get onto Cabin Fever Radio now. Go back and watch it now. Tune in. He kisses them tenderly, these 2 figurines, looking at the figurine of his wife as though she was there, and then Juba comes up and spoils the whole thing.
And they hear you?
Maximus turns his head towards Juba. His eyes are moist from the happiness of his reunion with his little toys through his figurines, and he responds to Juba.
Who?
Your family and the afterlife.
Oh, yes.
What do you say to them?
To my boy, I tell him I will soon see him again. And to keep his heels down when he's riding his horse. To my wife, well, that's none of your damn business.
Together they laugh. Maximus holds tight his belongings, sending a look of victory to Juba, a look of peace on his face as he clutches his figurines. Scene change. Back at the palace, Commodus, in a childlike pouty fashion, is talking with Senator Falco.
And now they love Maximus for his mercy, and so I can't kill him for it, or it makes him even more merciful. The great nightmare.
He is defying you. His every victory is an act of defiance. The mob sees this, and so do the Senate. Every day he lives, they grow bolder. Kill him!
No, I will not make a martyr of him.
I have been told of a certain sea snake which has a very unusual method of attracting its prey. It will lie at the bottom of the ocean as if wounded. Then its enemies will approach, and yet it will lie quite still. And then its enemies will take little bites of it, and yet it remains still.
So we will lie still and let our enemies come to us and nibble. Have every senator followed.
Scene change. The following day, gladiators are training inside the gladiator school. Maximus walks through the camp, making his way to a gate where the crowds watch the gladiators on display. Maximus passes a guard who calls him by name. He goes, Maximus! Maximus, in recognition of the guard, Maximus is admired by all, even though those who watch guard over him. Maximus reaches the gate where Cicero's waiting and places his hand behind Cicero's head. He says,
Cicero, my old friend, I thought I had seen you for the last time.
We thought you were dead.
Close. How long have I been in Nocia?
All winter.
How do they look?
Fat and bored.
Who's in command?
Some fool in Rome.
How soon do you think they could be ready to fight?
For you? Tomorrow.
I need you to do something for me.
Scene change. In the city at the bazaar, as Cicero waits, anxiously looking about the street, a children's play is underway. A Cassius impersonator entertains the crowd. Come, be seated, he says. If you haven't been in the arena, you can see it from here. The giant Maximus is defeating our Emperor Commodus. What are we to do? The crowd laughs and cheers. Yeah. Suddenly, Cicero eyes Lucilla as she is carried on her litter through the crowd. He runs to meet them. Milady, I served your father at Vindibona.
Back.
Milady, I served your father at Vindibona.
Back.
And then served the General Maximus. I serve him still.
Stop. Stand back.
Cicero kneeling beside her, whispering. The general sends word. He will meet your politician.
For your loyalty, sir.
Thank you, my lady.
Scene change. Gladiator calls. Maximus has been brought to a central room by Proximo.
Leave us. Senator Gracchus.
General, I hope my coming here today is enough evidence that you can trust me.
The Senate is with you?
The Senate? Yes. I can speak for them.
You can buy my freedom and smuggle me out of Rome.
To what end?
Get me outside the city. Have fresh horses ready to take me to Ostia. My army is encamped there. By nightfall of the second night, I shall return at the head of 5,000 men.
But the Legion is under new commanders, loyal to Commodus.
When my men see me alive, you shall see where their loyalty lies.
This is madness. No army has ever entered Rome for 100 years. I will not trade one dictatorship for another.
Time for half measures and talks is over, Senator.
So, after your glorious coup, what then? Will you take your 5,000 warriors and leave?
I will leave. The soldiers will stay for your protection under the command of the Senate.
So once all of Rome is yours, you'll just give it back to the people. Tell me why.
Because that was the last wish of a dying man. I will kill Commodus. The fate of Rome, I leave to you.
Marcus Aurelius trusted you. His daughter trusts you. I will trust you. But we have little time. Give me 2 days, and I will buy your freedom. And you stay alive, or I'll be dead. Now I must go.
Scene change. To Proximo's quarters, where Maximus is speaking with him.
This won't work. The Emperor knows too much. And as for me, it's becoming dangerous.
A soldier is seen outside, attempting to overhear their talk.
You will be paid on my return. I give you my word.
Your word? What if you don't return?
Do you remember what it is to have trust, Proximo?
Who am I to trust?
I will kill Commodus.
Why do I want that? He makes me rich. I know, Maximus, that you are a man of your word, General. I know that you would die for honor. You would die for Rome. You would die for the memory of your ancestors. But I, on the other hand, am an entertainer. Guard!
He killed the man who set you free.
Scene change. Senator Gracchus is seen at his home, feeding chickens and ducks. A servant is near and warns the senator, "Praetorian, master," as he sees their approach. Scene change. Lucilla walks into the palace and finds Commodus. She attempts to leave, but he stops her.
Where have you been? I sent for you.
Please, brother, what troubles you?
Does Gracchus have a new lover?
I don't know.
I thought you had seen him. He infects everyone like a putrid fever. For the health of Rome, the Senate must be bled, and he will bleed too. Very soon.
But not tonight.
Do you remember what our father once said? It's a dream. A frightful dream life is. Do you think that's true?
I don't know.
I think it is. And I have only you to share it with.
Lucilla comes closer to comfort him. Commodus lays his head against his shoulder He leans her back and lays her on the bed. With terror in her eyes, she lays still, fearful of what might happen. Commodus gently puts his finger onto her mouth and tells her, "Open your mouth." Hesitantly, she opens her mouth, slightly as he places his finger to her lips and then to his. He presses his head to her shoulder and says,
You know, I love you.
She replies.
And I love you.
She lays still, a fear mounting at thought of what might occur, but Commodus soon lays his head down and falls asleep. Lucilla, gently and quietly, gets up and leaves. Change scenes. Back at Proximo's, as he brings Lucilla to Maximus' cell. "Congratulations, General. You have very persuasive friends." Proximo calls to Maximus. Proximo backs orders to the other gladiators to leave. They look to Maximus for approval, and he gives it to them with a nod of his head.
My brother has had Gracchus arrested. We dared not wait any longer. You must leave tonight. Proximo will come at midnight and take you to the gate. Your servant Cicero will be waiting with horses.
You have done all of this?
Yes,
You risk too much.
I have much to pay for.
You have nothing to pay for. You loved your son. You're strong for him.
I am tired of being strong. My brother hates all the world, and you most of all.
Because your father chose me.
Because my father loved you. And because I loved you.
A long time ago.
Kiss her hand.
Was I very different then?
You laughed more.
I have felt alone all my life, except with you. I must go.
Yes.
They make out. Let that go for a minute. Change scenes.
At the palace, Lucius playing swords with the tall African servants. There, and I've got you, proclaims Lucius. Commodus is awakened from his sleep, goes to Lucius and takes one of the wooden swords from the servant. He begins to play swords with Lucius.
Isn't it late to be playing Legionnaire?
I'm not a legionnaire.
Not a Legionnaire.
I am a gladiator.
A gladiator. Gladiators only fight in the games. Wouldn't you prefer to be a brave Roman warrior like Julius Caesar?
I am Maximus, the savior of Rome.
Oh, shit.
The savior of Rome? And who said that?
Lucius whispers in his ear. Commodus holds him tighter and tighter as he hears that rhymes.
Scene change.
Lucilla returns to the palace and asks her servants where Lucius is. She replies, "He's with the emperor, my lady." She quickly leaves in search of Lucius. She walks to Commodus' room, and as she approaches, she can hear Commodus talking with Lucius. Lucilla slows down to listen and then quickly walks to join them as she hears them talk.
She couldn't have.
Yes, she did. She took it from a basket, pressed it to her breast, right here above the heart. His.
And it bit her in the breast?
Yes. Sometimes royal ladies behave very strangely and do very odd things in the name of love.
I think it's silly.
Oh, so do I. So do I.
Commodus sees Lucilla enter the room.
Sister, join us. I've been reading to dear Lucius.
I've been reading too.
Yes, he's a very clever little boy. He'll make a grand emperor one day.
Astonished looks.
We've been reading about the great Mark Antony and his adventures in England and Egypt.
And the queen killed herself with a snake.
And just wait until you hear what happened to our other ancestors. If you're very good, tomorrow night I'll tell you the story of Emperor Claudius. He was betrayed by those closest to him, by his own blood. They whispered in dark corners and went out late at night and conspired and conspired.
Lucilla's getting frightened, nearly in tears.
But the emperor knew they were up to something. He knew they were busy little bees, and one night he sat down with one of them, and he looked at her, and he said, "Tell me, what have you been doing, busy little bee? Or I shall strike down those dearest to you. You shall watch as I bathe in their blood." And the emperor was heartbroken. The little bee had wounded him more deeply than anyone had ever done. And what do you think happened to them, Lucius?
I don't know, Uncle.
The little bee told him everything.
Yeah, so tears of fear slowly rolled down Lucilla's face. Back at Gladiator School, Maximus begins to collect his things, don't you know? Maximus, the figurines of his wife and son into their leather pouch and slipping into the ring on his finger. Outside, Praetorian guards are seen as they approach. Meanwhile, assassins are releasing a red coral snake into the bed of Senator Gaius as he and his wife lay there asleep. Praetorians have reached Proximus' quarters, stand outside the gate, and they call out, "Open in the name of the Emperor! Open the gates, Proximo! Open the gates! Don't you want to die, old man?"
Here, everything is prepared. It seems you have won your freedom.
Proximo, are you in danger of becoming a good man?
Ha!
Juba!
As Maximus hands him the ring of keys to the cells, outside the guards continue calling out, "All enemies of the Emperor die!" The men gather around Maximus to listen to his orders.
I only need moments, so you do not need to carelessly lose your lives. If you do not want any part of this, go back to your cells.
We'll wait here for you, Maximus. Strength and honor.
Maximus walks over to Juba and says,
"Strength and honor."
As the two friends touch forwards, Maximus begins to make his getaway as the gladiators battle with the Roman guards. The gladiators fight bravely. Hagen is killed. In Proximo's quarters, he is killed by the Praetorian as he holds his Rudius and says, "Shadows and dust." What's a Rudius? Maximus makes his way through the tunnel to the outside. Along the way, he finds his armor and sword and puts them on. Once outside, he sees a rider standing still. He whistles, and the rider, Cicero, recognizes the whistle and calls out Maximus' name. "Maximus!" At that moment, his horse bolts and Cicero is hanged by the rope around his neck. Maximus runs to him and lifts him. Cicero says, "I'm sorry." The Praetorian shoots arrows and kills Cicero as Maximus cries out in anguished roar.
No!
Maximus is surrounded by the Praetorian. We change scenes. Back at the palace, Senator Falco approaches Commodus as he stands looking over the city and says, "It is done." Oh, I like that.
Ooh.
Commodus slowly turns to Falco.
"And what of my nephew and what of his mother? Shall they share her lover's fate, or should I be merciful? Commodus the merciful. Lucius will stay with me now, and if his mother so much as looks at me in a manner that displeases me, he will die. And if she decides to be noble and take her own life, he will die. And as for you, you will love me as I have loved you. You will provide me with an heir of pure blood, so that Commodus and his progeny will rule for 1,000 years. Am I not merciful?"
He gets close to her face and tries to kiss her, but Lucilla turns away. Commodus grabs her jaw, turning her face towards him, screams,
"Am I not merciful?"
Tears slowly come down Lucilla's face, and we change scenes. At the Colosseum, the crowd chants,
Maximus! Maximus!
The petals of red flowers float in the air on the sands of the arena floor. Below, Maximus is chained. Commodus goes to Maximus. The other prisoners, Gracchus, Juba, are watching as he enters. Commodus, dressed in his white leather armor, walks up to the chained Maximus, who is bruised and weary.
Maximus, 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 they call for you. The general who became a slave. The slave who became a gladiator. The gladiator who defied an emperor. A striking story. Now the people want to know how the story ends. Only a famous death will do. What could be more glorious than to challenge the emperor himself in the great arena?
You would fight me?
Why not? Do you think I'm afraid?
I think you've been afraid all your life.
Unlike Maximus the Invincible, who knows no fear.
I know a man who said, death smiles at us all. All that a man can do is smile back.
Wonder, did your friend smile at his own death?
You must know. He was your father.
You loved my father, I know. But so did I. That makes us brothers, doesn't it? Smile for me now, brother.
Commodus embraces Maximus, and with one cowardice, fierce thrust, he stabs him with his dagger, with like hidden in his sleeve, and then he kisses him on his neck.
Oh!
Strap on his armor, conceal the wound.
So we're like going to change scenes, and the trap door to the arena opens as the lift rises, and encircled with the Praetorian as they stand behind their black shields. In the middle, the white-clad Commodus is gazing upwardly, basking in the sun, stands next to the wounded, dying Maximus, because he's already dying. All the while, Quintus is like staring at Maximus. As they reach the floor of the arena, Praetorian take their ring formation. Maximus stumbles to the center, and he's slowly stooping to like pick up a handful of sand, because he does that every time. With that watchful eye on Quintus, Maximus rubs the sand between his hands, and then he reaches for his sword. But Quintus tosses it away from himself and out of Maximus' reach. Maximus painfully moves to where the sword has been tossed and picks it up, immediately swinging at Commodus. The two do battle. Maximus roars as he attacks. Yeah, but Commodus, he manages to cut Maximus' leg. And although wounded, Maximus, he also cuts Commodus' arm, causing Commodus to like drop his sword. And then Maximus is he's suffering gravely from the wound inflicted by Commodus, while earlier chained, begins to drift into the afterlife. That means he's dying. It's a pretty poetic way of saying he's dying. As he sees the gate to his home, he reaches out in effort to push the gate open. His sword drops from his hand. Meanwhile, Commodus is calling Quintus for his sword.
Sword! Give me your sword!
But Quintus does not comply. He doesn't like him anymore. Commodus then turns to Praetorian, calling out,
Sword!
The guards begin to pull their swords. Maybe it's their swords. When Quintus quickly orders them to sheath their swords, and they comply. As Commodus again reaches for his hidden dagger up his sleeve, what he slapped Maximus with earlier, Maximus quickly returns to this life for a second, like he was going to die, but now he's back. and armed but for his strength and determination, continues battle with Commodus from the afterlife like a zombie, punching him with great zombie force. Maximus turns Commodus' dagger against him as he tries relentlessly to fight Zombie Maximus off, but Zombie Maximus slowly plunges the knife into Commodus' throat, deeper and deeper, until it's like can go no further. Commodus, his breath leaving his body, falls to the ground. The fight's it's over, but Maximus, he like keeps it on going.
Quintus, free my men. Senator Gracchus will be reinstated. There was a dream that was Rome. It shall be realized. These are the wishes of Marcus Aurelius.
Quintus calls out to the guards. Maximus stands unsteady as the vision of the wheat field once again comes to him. His wife and son are waiting for him. Suddenly he falls hard like a tree to the ground. Lucilla runs into the arena, dropping to her knees at his side and calling to him, Maximus! Maximus gazes up and tells her,
Hold on.
Lucius is safe. Lucilla looks at him adoringly and responds,
Go to them.
Now he is free. With her hand, she closes his eyes, his face calm because dead people are, and at peace as he leaves this world. Lucilla adds,
You are at home.
Grieving with one hand to her brow, she regains her presence, stands and turns to Senator Gracchus and the crowd.
Is Rome worth one good man's life? We believed it once. Make us believe it again. He was a soldier of Rome. Honor him.
Who will help me carry him?
Many gather to lift Maximus and carry him from the arena. Commodus is left alone in the sand. We change scenes as Juba is digging in the sand for burial at the place where Maximus died. He unfolds the small leather pouch with Maximus's toys, removes them, places them in their resting place.
Now we are free. I will see you again, but not yet. Not yet.
We fade to black, and the story ends.
Maybe the evening star.
Thank you for watching and listening to Gladiator. Wait, that's the wrong Gladiator. That's the Gladiator in the sea.
Oh.
That's a different. That's the Gladiator with
completely
eyeliner.
different Gladiator. Yeah. First and foremost, I want to thank you guys for being a part of this, as well as the audience for tuning in. And again, this is the second of 2 parts. So if you haven't seen the first part, be sure to go to cabinfeverradio.com and you can check out last week's part, which is also truly amazing. And I want to give a big shout out to Robert Christopher Smith for changing voices every single time and every chance he could.
It was a lot, but he did it.
What was it?
He didn't want to. Yeah, he didn't want to commit to just one bit again, like last week. So be sure to check out last week.
Well, having my brain boiling in that wig, it definitely helped, man. I think somewhere about halfway through, I think I might have had a stroke.
You're good.
You probably, if you play it back, you can hear the moment.
I know, right? Just
Probably go seek medical attention or something.
I'm sorry that I missed my last line because I literally fell and I fell off of my chair.
Well,
but I caught the tripod, so
I don't blame you.
I'm sorry, Maximus died. You said he fell to the ground hard. I tried to fall to the ground hard.
He fell to the ground.
Okay, Commodus died too. Commodus died too, and I was on my line. But okay, all right, like whatever.
Commodus kind of deserved it, bro.
Yeah.
Oh.
He had cool armor, though. That's cool.
Right, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, white leather, I can do that.
Right?
So it really was that wig, man. That this thing hates the wig.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it does because it was like bright red, so it's trying to compensate for that. But again,
Yeah.
to our audio listeners, because this will become a podcast, check out the live version so you guys can see it. But I do want to give a couple little words. Thank you, everyone, for joining again. This is Cabin Fever Radio Novellas. And you can get more information on this show as well as other shows that we've done in the past and some future shows that we're going to do in the future, obviously, since word future. You can check it out at cabinfeverradio.com. And if you wish to support the show so we could continue this even further and get better production value out of it, you can become a Patreon by going to patreon.com/cabinfeverradio. And with just a couple bucks a month, you can get exclusive content that you can only see on Patreon, as well as behind the scenes and many, many more. So patreon.com/cabinfeverradio.
Yeah, we get really silly behind the scenes.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
yeah.
will see, especially the post show. That's where the magic really happens. And we'll be going into the post show in just a little bit. But again, everything in the thank you, Rob Fury, for even doing some stunts while he's reading.
Truly.
Wow, we're bringing stunts into the live stream. That's pretty
Let's
cool.
do it.
Why
It
not,
wasn't
right?
really intended. That's not what I intended, for sure.
But yeah, again, quick little updates on what's to come, which you can check out on cabinfeverradio.com. Next week, we will be doing a special 4th of July, because it lands on the 4th of July, Batman reading. A really cool episode of part of the Batman TV series that was back in a couple years ago. I don't remember the date.
60s.
60s. Yeah.
Late
Couple years
60s.
ago.
Mid 60s.
Couple. Yeah. Just add
Just
a couple more to
you
the
know.
couple. Yeah. You know how it is. But yeah. So, and then we're going to have more feature-length films after the 4th of July special episode. So stay tuned for that.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, thank you guys again. You have been listening to Cabin Fever Radio, and the Batman TV show is coming to life. Ba-na-na-na-na, Batman, ba-na-na-na-na, Rob Fury, Raya Hart. Keep changing the names every single time so you don't get copywritten infringements on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, I totally forgot.
We're going to get struck down by,
We're not in the post
Bobby
show
Smith.
yet.
by Universal Studios.
I know, right?
Kelsey Dapper. Mariah Hart.
Works really well.
It flows.
It really does. It really does. So again, thank you, audience, for listening. And if you're listening on our podcast, be sure to check out cabinfeverradio.com as well as patreon.com/cabinfever. And you can get all the information from all the cast members on the description down below.
Mm-hmm.
This has been Cabin Fever Radio signing off.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to go into the post show. But
Whoa.
first, let me press some buttons.
Okay.
Butones! Paga, 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 poo, poo. See you at the post show.